On the count of three, give me a Brock grade. 1, 2, 3. B.
B minus.
Okay. Here's why I'm going B.
Eye test was
view it
like
as a
C
good
minus.
grade.
Eye test was C minus, but it actually, like, when you look at its functionality, it was.
Yeah. So I view B as a good grade. I don't view B as a downgrade. I view B as a again. If you guys know my philosophy, but I'll repeat it because it applies here as it applies in most games. Most days of your life, you're not playing with your best. Most games you win. You don't get to play my jump shot was on, my handle was on. I played the best defense of my life. I finished everything at the rim. I was seeing everything in passing. That's not life. It doesn't work like that. You don't always have full tank of gas. Don't spill on your shirt, on time to every meeting. Lunch gets delivered. It was perfect. Hit the gym on time, got to bed on time. That's not life. So I thought, considering the start, considering how much pressure that the Giants brought, considering short week, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of layup throws, but the layup throws are the.
You mean Don Mattingly's cleanup hitter?
Wink?
You see that fucking chew in his mouth?
The lost Ryan brother? What if you found out it was like Rob Ryan? They had cloned him as a kid and it came off just a little different.
If I told you that Wink Martindale batted fourth for 3 years at LSU in the early 80s and was like the all SEC hitter, but loved football and ended up being a football coach, but was one of the greatest baseball power hitters in SEC history at LSU, would you believe me?
I'd believe you. If you told me he coaches a girls' travel softball team in the offseason and they're really good and they're sponsored by Skull or Harley Davidson,
I love a guy that has a big lip in and also has a little like extra on his lip, and it just feels like, I don't think he spits, he swallows. That was the classic Bochy. He just like, no, he ain't spitting. Like, he doesn't. Do you got a spitter? No, he just swallows it. He's been swallowing it for 45 years.
As always, he made a lot of third down throws. Brock does that. Now, sometimes it's behind Jennings. Jennings always has to catch one ball from behind him in the middle of the field. He always has to catch Jennings, a ball behind him in like a hot zone in a big moment in the game. But he does it. He delivers. But the Niners were very good on third down today. Brock was a part of that. He had several plus throws. I mean, his touchdown throw to Ronnie Bell, which Ronnie Bell's first career catch, it was a touchdown. His first career touchdown. We got there eventually on the information, but the throw to Kittle early on the sideline was an incredible throw. And then against pressure, the Debo touchdown. I mean, these were multiple like plus throws in the game. So I thought, all things considered, and then he didn't turn the ball over. And I saw this stat. I got to.
He didn't really have any turnover worthy throws.
He did. The throw that Kittle had to play Hufanga. Sorry, let me be clear. Kittle had to break up that ball. It was the play action turnaround. Thinks Kittle's open, doesn't see the DB. It was early in the game, and Kittle's got to come knock it down. I think it was the first possession of the game. I would say that was a turnover-worthy ball.
I'd be lying. I turned on the game. They were at the 50-yard line.
Oh, okay. Well, you should see that play, John.
5:15, 5:20. You know, there's
and it's on Prime. You got to get out. You got to navigate.
Quick load. There's a rhythm to primetime games. If I could tell the NFL one thing, when you sign this deal, we need universal time slots, right?
Yeah.
You can't have some at 5:15, some at 5:20. That 5-minute difference, especially if one's a streaming service, that could be a 7-minute swing.
Big difference. Yeah, somebody just reminded me, I graded this as a plus throw. I mean, I didn't grade today, but if I did, I wouldn't call it a McCaffrey drop. It was a PBU, but the left corner throw to McCaffrey was a very good throw.
Is that when he laid on the ground for an extra minute or extra second? You're like, oh, are you okay?
Christian?
Yeah, you're good.
Then you saw the replay. Like, it was a really good throw, and it just, I think, kind of got accidentally broken up. But anyway.
I think he has a lot of touch on the edge throws, don't you? To me, the edge throws, like the Debo throw, the Ayuk throw, the touchdown passes on the corner, the Christian McCaffrey touchdown dropped, like those edge throws to the sideline, I feel he has a lot of confidence and clearly has a lot of knows where to put it and feels very like, I'm going to put this in the right spot. And he just feels very consistently on that throw, where some other throws you can't, I don't want to say hold your breath, but he's just a little more hit or miss. That side throw on the sideline, anything deeper down the field, I would say that was an area where Jimmy sucked at, and probably why they're much more explosive scoring points, because you score points on that fucking throw, right?
Yep. Go back. You got to watch the first drive, because somebody in the chat here, Jose, said his first throw floated a bit.
Yeah, I was late to it.
Okay, so
he's done that a couple times in his career. First drive can be a roller coaster ride.
But but the reason I bring it up is the second play of the game was this throw that Jose's talking about, where I couldn't tell. They didn't get a replay. Like, was it behind Debo? I'll have to watch it again. So then it's 3rd and 5. Wink brings heat. Brock could not have been calmer. And not only was he calm, Debo was open, and he just the same thing. He just kind of, I mean, it felt like the equivalent of a 78-mile-an-hour throw if it was a baseball pitch. It was on the money, but it was just like, put it out there, and it was on the money. I thought was a really impressive throw, 3rd and 5. And then the next play will be, when you go back and grind the tape, will be the Kittle PBU. But yeah, I thought it wasn't.
Wouldn't you say wouldn't you say that for them to win a Super Bowl right now, given everyone being healthy on this squad right now, he's really their only question mark? Is he good enough to beat the best teams? Can he play well enough? I mean, obviously his numbers look fine, but I think we all have to admit there are moments in these games where you're watching it, you're like,
Yeah. Well, can he really not keep not turning the ball over like this? Didn't throw a pick again.
Well, guy, it's football. I mean, fucking
Peyton
Manning threw, but I'm saying
Peyton Manning
threw pick sixes in the Super Bowl. So Tom,
when does it happen? Where does it happen?
Well, it's inevitable. And that's where I will give him this. He does make enough explosive plays where over the course of a season, he can have 7-8 picks. He's throwing enough touchdowns. How many touchdowns does he have right now?
Well, 2. He didn't have one last week, and he had one in week 1, right? He had 2 in week 1, so that's 4.
Yeah, I mean, so he's on pace for it's not great. I guess you need a little more. But I could see next week him get 2 or 3 or 4. So let's say he gets 3, so all of a sudden he's got 7 through 4. Then probably Dallas, maybe he'll struggle to get maybe 1, right? Because he'll probably get a running touchdown too. Like, how many touchdowns? Like, now they play the Cardinals. I mean, this game, I mean, at home, what's the line on that? 2
13.
touchdowns? So let's face it. Like, next week, it's going to be one of those classic. It's so early in the season, it's not like a look past, but right now,
Darnold?
It's the fucking Dallas Cowboys. You know, like, what's it going to take to beat the Dallas Cowboys? Because that game it's Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
It's going to be, Niners minus 2 or 3. It's going to be your classic, like, 2 best teams in the league. I think a lot of people are going to be like, these are legitimately the 2 best teams in the league right now.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's week 5. It doesn't mean that much, but it does mean something. I would say it means more like
what? Standings.
But for sure. But I just mean, like, for McCaffrey and Debo and Micah and Bosa, like, I think you could argue Purdy has the most to prove in that moment, even over Dak. I think Purdy just being, because I remember last year, like, oh, damn, this is going to be enough.
I mean, he threw for like 160 or whatever it was, right?
It's a big moment, man.
Thanks for the $5, Jared.
And I guess my thing, right, as we're sitting here right now, I'm nervous with Brock Purdy going into that game. Not like I'm nervous that they're going to get fucking beat. I just mean, is he good enough to win that game that I think is going to be 18-15 or 21-17 or,
The one thing you can't deny so far with him, he shows no sign of being rattled when it's not going great.
I'm not saying, but again,
I know you're not saying that. I'm
talking like, physically.
I understand. Yeah, I got it. I'm just saying, like, the pressure of those games becomes a factor in those games for all the players involved, especially young quarterbacks. And if he's got that in him, he hasn't shown it yet.
And in fairness to him, for everyone that's not like on our angle, the pressure on Dak with the national media and Cowboy fans will be enormous in 2 weeks, right? I mean, guy, it's going to be. Look at Dallas' schedule. It's going to be 4-0 versus 4-0.
Yeah.
If it was college football, it'd be 1 versus 2, right?
I wonder if they'll outrate Colorado.
What would you guess? 32. It's going to be big. I know.
I mean, if it's a playoff game, it's like 55, right, or 60.
Sunday Night Football, those 2 teams, 4-0. The hype all week will be huge.
Yeah.
35 million. I mean, it could be one of the highest rated Sunday night games in 5 years or something, if you told me something like that.
Yeah. Should be easier to beat Dallas with Diggs tearing his ACL. I think, like,
would it be the 2 teams any network would choose if they were both elite?
Yeah.
I think so too. Because the Cowboys are obviously the number one pick.
When they meet in the playoffs, it's like the highest rated playoff games you can get.
Are the Niners the number 2 pick, you think, in the stand, if they're good in the ratings challenge?
Well, I mean, like if you say if they're good, like the Giants if they're good or the Jets if they're good are probably up there.
Well, like, do the Packers rate because they're the Packers or because they're the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre? Because they've obviously been huge cash cows.
Yeah, hard to know, right? Because that's who they've been. That's what they are. Like Pittsburgh just rates, and they haven't had a great quarterback in a while.
I would imagine that the Packers and Pittsburgh, one thing they have are enormous fan bases.
Huge fan bases. Yeah.
I know a lot of Packer fans. Like just
Somebody
random people.
gave us the stat. I don't know where it came from. So maybe Giants blitzed on 20 of 24 dropbacks in the first half. That's 83% of their dropbacks. It'd be the 4th highest rate by any defense in a single game in the past 5 years.
Well, I think he's the highest blitzing coordinator over the last decade.
And he looks at Brock and goes, "Here it comes."
He definitely is, because that was, I think when him and Harbaugh broke up, is he was too aggressive. He's the opposite of Fangio, of just like he blitzes every play. Which, I mean, look at the guy. You think a guy with that big fucking 3, cans of skull every day is blitzing twice a game? I mean,
you don't get that haircut and then roll in. It's like we like to drop 8.
The hard part of football, and this is where the Niners were way better than them. When you're kind of the random playoff team, it's hard to just maintain it, man, because people come for you. Your schedule
changes.
You're gonna draw a random year where you just get the tough conferences. They play in a tough division. Like I by no means think they suck. They won a bunch of 1-score games. Dude.
The Vikings had a stat last year where they won a bunch of close games or like late games. The Vikings had a stat last year that was kind of like that.
Well, I think they were like 8-1 in 1-score games.
1-score games or something. So